The only successful coup on U.S. soil erased a thriving black government. Wilmington, North Carolina, 1898. A city pulsing with promise and progress, where African American citizens wield political power, own businesses, and shape their destinies. Here, black elected officials govern alongside white allies, crafting a community that defies the brutal realities of the Jim Crow South. But beneath this fragile alliance simmers a tempest born of racial resentment and white supremacist ambition. The Wilmington Coup is not merely a story of violence. It is a story of power wrested by force, a violent unraveling of democracy that echoes across generations. It is a story of a city transformed overnight, a community shattered, and a truth long buried beneath the dust of forgotten history. This is the story of a Renaissance stolen, a roots upheaved. In the waning years of the 19th century, Wilmington stands as North Carolina's largest city, a bustling port where commerce and culture intertwine. Its black population, nearly half the city's residents, thrives in business, education, and politics. Black voters and their white Republican allies control the city government, electing a biracial fusionist coalition to office. Alexander Manley, a black newspaper editor, challenges the dehumanizing myths of white supremacy in his fiery editorials, stirring both hope and fury. But the white Democratic Party, humiliated by their electoral defeats, conspires to reclaim power by any means necessary. The stage is set for a violent reckoning, a day when democracy will be overturned, not by ballots, but by bullets and fear. The summer of 1898 sees mounting tension as white supremacists mobilize under the banner of white supremacy and law and order. Inflammatory newspapers fan the flames, painting black citizens as threats to white womanhood and Southern civilization. Alexander Manley's editorial, which counters the lie that black men threaten white women, becomes the spark that ignites a firestorm of hatred. White mobs, fueled by rage and lies, prepare to strike. On November 10th, the simmering violence explodes. Armed white paramilitaries, led by former Confederate officers and Democratic leaders, march into Wilmington with deadly intent. What follows is not just a coup, but a massacre, a purge of black leadership, and a forced exile of hundreds of black citizens. The city's political landscape is forever altered. The morning after the violence, Wilmington is transformed. The black newspapers' presses lie shattered, their owners and editors driven into exile or silence. Streetcar lines once integrated enforce segregation. Black-owned businesses shutter or are seized by white opportunists. The biracial government, once a symbol of progress, is dismantled by force. Alfred Waddell, a white supremacist and leader of the coup, proclaims himself mayor, declaring the restoration of white rule. This violent overthrow marks a turning point, not just for Wilmington, but for the South, as it signals the end of Reconstruction era gains and the beginning of a century-long era of disenfranchisement and segregation. The echoes of that day resonate in the fractures of American democracy. Behind the immediate violence lies a broader national context. A post-Reconstruction South grappling with the loss of white dominance and the rise of black political agency, the Wilmington Coup embodies the reactionary backlash against the promise of interracial democracy. It is a brutal reminder of the fragility of rights when confronted by systemic racism and violent intimidation. Across the South, similar tactics, poll taxes, literacy tests, lynching, would soon roll back black voting rights and political participation, codifying segregation into law. Wilmington's fall serves as a chilling precedent. Democracy can be overturned not only at the ballot box, but through terror and force. The coup exposes the limits of American freedom and equality, revealing a nation still wrestling with the unfinished work of emancipation. The human toll of the Wilmington Coup is staggering yet often overlooked. Historians estimate that dozens of black residents were killed in the massacre, but the true number remains lost to history, erased by silence and fear. Families flee their homes, communities fractured by trauma and displacement. The cultural and economic heart of Wilmington's black community is broken, its leaders scattered or silenced. This violence is not random. It is a calculated act of political terrorism aimed at dismantling black power. The scars run deep, not only in the city's skyline, but in the collective memory of its people. For decades, this story is buried, suppressed by those who prefer a sanitized history, leaving wounds unhealed and truths unspoken. Yet, beneath the shadows of violence, the spirit of Wilmington's black community endures. Survivors rebuild, resisting erasure through resilience and remembrance. Alexander Manly's legacy, once vilified, is reclaimed by historians and activists who honor his courage in the face of hatred. The coup becomes a catalyst for the Great Migration, as thousands of black families leave the violence of the South, seeking safety and opportunity in northern cities. Wilmington's story, once silenced, reverberates through generations, inspiring a reckoning with the past and a renewed fight for justice. The roots of this renaissance grow in defiance of oppression, a testament to the enduring power of memory and resistance. In recent years, the Wilmington Coup has emerged from obscurity into public consciousness, challenging long-held myths about the South's lost cause, scholars, descendants, and community leaders uncover the truth buried beneath decades of denial. Monuments erected to white supremacist leaders are questioned, replaced, or removed. Educational programs and memorials honor the victims and survivors, weaving their stories into the fabric of American history. This rediscovery invites a broader conversation about race, power, and reconciliation. A conversation that demands honesty and courage. Wilmington's past is no longer a footnote, but a vital chapter in the ongoing struggle for equity and democracy. The coup also forces us to confront the fragility of democracy itself. Here, political power was won at the polls and lost to violence, revealing a dark underside of American history. It is a cautionary tale about the dangers of racial animus wielded as a weapon against democratic institutions. The events of 1898 remind us that democracy is not self-sustaining. It requires vigilance, inclusion, and the protection of all citizens' rights. Wilmington's story challenges us to recognize how easily justice can be undermined when fear and hatred go unchecked. It is a mirror reflecting the past and a warning for the future. The legacies of the Wilmington Coup ripple through modern America. Issues of voter suppression, racial violence, and political intimidation echo the tactics used over a century ago. The fight for voting rights, fair representation, and racial justice continues, fueled by the memory of those who resisted oppression. Wilmington's story is a call to action, a reminder that the promises of democracy must be fiercely protected and expanded. The roots of racial inequality remain intertwined with the nation's democratic experiment, challenging each generation to confront uncomfortable truths and strive for a more just society. As we reflect on Wilmington, we see a city that embodies both the hope and heartbreak of the American experiment. A place where black political power blossomed briefly, only to be violently uprooted. Yet within that uprooting lies a seed of resilience, a community that refuses to be forgotten. The Wilmington Coup is more than a historical event. It is a testament to the enduring struggle for justice, the complexities of power, and the unyielding spirit of those who dare to dream of equality. In remembering Wilmington, we honor those who stood against oppression and inspire those who continue the fight today. The story of Wilmington is a mosaic of courage and cruelty, progress and regression, democracy and dictatorship. It challenges us to reckon with the layers of history often left in shadow. To understand the coup is to understand the deep wounds of America's racial past and the ongoing quest to heal them. It reminds us that history is not static. It is lived, reinterpreted, and reclaimed by those who seek truth and justice. Wilmington's legacy calls us to listen, to learn, and to act, ensuring that the darkest chapters of our history illuminate the path toward a more inclusive future. The Wilmington Coup of 1898 stands as a stark reminder. Democracy can be fragile, and power, when wielded without justice, can destroy the very foundations it claims to uphold. Yet, from the ashes of violence rises the enduring power of memory and resistance. Wilmington's story invites us to confront the past honestly and to commit ourselves to a future where the promise of democracy truly belongs to all. As the sun sets over the port city, the roots of this renaissance stretch deep, anchored in truth, nurtured by courage, and reaching toward the light of justice. This is the legacy of Wilmington, a chapter of American history demanding to be remembered. This has been Roots Renaissance. See you in the next chapter.